Hi, Jean. Do I need a trust?
People ask me all the time about trust. Do I need a trust? There's a lot of new tax laws going on and coming into effect here with this next year, and one of those is death tax. Now, death tax, if you're not aware of death tax, that's actually applied, and the tax is due 9 months after we die. So if you're a married couple, when the last one of you dies, there's 9 months time frame before your children have to write out a check to the U.S. Treasury. Death tax this year, the good news is you don't owe any as long as you die with $5 million or less. That is going to be changing. It's slated to change to a $1 million exemption. That means you add up everything that you own: jewelry, homes, cars, CDs, stocks, bonds, and mutual funds. If you have any savings bonds, if you have any annuities, you also have to add the death benefits to your life insurance. And you have to add IRAs. Now, people ask about life insurance. They say, isn't that income tax free? Yes, it's income tax free, but it's not death tax free. So if you have a $500,000 death benefit, that adds into your death taxable estate. If the exemption changes to $1 million and everything that you have adds up to $2 million, your first $1 million is going to be free. The last $1 million is going to cost your children $550,000. That's because it's taxed at 55 cents on the dollar on everything over $1 million. Now remember, that tax is due and payable 9 months after we die. Isn't that interesting? It takes 9 months to be born, and now it takes 9 months to die if you have a little something. How are they going to come up with that $550,000? Well, there's a lot of famous people this has happened to. One is Joe Robbie. He used to own the Miami Dolphins. It was the Joe Robbie Stadium. He died with $20 million. The family had to come up with $9 million in 9 months. So guess what they had to do? They had to sell the team and sell the stadium. I don't think that's what Joe Robbie had in mind. So sometimes if you drive around the neighborhood, you'll see those estate sale signs. Those are the fun ones to go to. It's not a garage sale. That's a wealthy family trying to come up with the 55 cents on the dollar death tax, and they're having to sell antiques, Persian rugs, emeralds, all kinds of expensive items to come up with the money to pay this tax. So don't let that happen to you. If you have a larger estate, then you definitely need something known as a revocable living trust. That's going to give you 2 death tax exemptions. This year, if you have $5 million or less, you don't really need that living trust, and you want to be careful because living trusts cause more problems than they solve usually. You can read this book, which is written by an attorney. It's called Living Trust, Living Hell, and it'll tell you some of the problems or pitfalls to watch out for. The Wall Street Journal, Consumers Digest, Money Magazine, and dozens of other financial sources have tried to warn the public about living trusts. Living trusts unnecessarily expose your home, retirement accounts, insurance, and other exempt assets to creditors. Living trusts increase rather than decrease taxes and delays. Living trusts are more expensive and time-consuming than probate. Courts are declaring living trusts to be invalid. A living trust, unlike a will, is open to challenge and creditors' claims for years. Using a living trust causes one to lose important protections, tax benefits, and much more. Now, I'm not an attorney, but I can just tell you from 20 years of doing this and helping people and settling estates that 9 times out of 10, living trusts cause more problems than they solve. So if you have an estate that's not valued at $5 million, what can you do to make things simple for your loved ones? One of the things you can do here in Florida, you can name a beneficiary on everything. Remember, your beneficiary assets override your trust anyway. So your IRAs, your 401ks, your annuities, your life insurance, those are all going to pass outside your trust anyway. And what you want to make sure of is that you didn't go make the trust the beneficiary of those assets. That could create a huge tax issue for your loved ones. Always make sure your beneficiaries have a pulse and a birthday. Then you can take your other assets like your bank accounts, your CDs, your checking, your savings, your money market, your credit union accounts, and you can name PODs on that. That stands for payable on death. That means that who's ever named as your POD would take ownership of the account only after both of you have passed away. They'd supply a death certificate at the bank. Bank would put it into your child or children's names. They would then take ownership and they could do what they please with the account without costs, without taxes, without delays or probate. Very simple. If you have a brokerage account, let's say you have a brokerage account outside of your IRA, maybe you have some stocks, bonds, and mutual funds, you can do the same thing. You can name a TOD, that stands for transfer on death. And then again, who's ever named there would only just need a death certificate at the brokerage firm, and then they would own the account without cost, delay, or probate, all private. So very simple. If you have an estate valued to hit less than $5 million this year, you just want to put beneficiaries on everything. Now, if you have a living trust and you've named it to own your home, be aware that some homeowner insurance companies require that you notify them of this. That's because just because you have a trust doesn't mean you're the owner or trustee of your trust. So therefore, the insurance company wants to know that your trust owns your home, and in many instances, they want to list your trust and the name of your trust as an additional insured on your homeowner's policy. We don't want to give them any reason to deny our claim, especially with hurricane season coming. So be sure to notify them and let them know that you do not own your home and that your trust owns your home. If you don't have a trust, you can have that enhanced death deed and name beneficiaries, and then the homeowner's insurance company does not need to be notified. And now a tip from our smart money bitch.
Tanning tax? I can't even go to the tanning bed anymore. Obamacare is going to charge me 1%.